Matthew 11 verse 28 reads, "Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." You may be in a season of your life where you're feeling very weary, at the end of yourself, like you can't continue. You might feel like God has gone radio silent during a time where you feel like you need him the most. And I've experienced this very recently. I've felt like I'm in a season of strife and testing of my faith and of my patience. And something I've asked myself is, is this a pattern? This feels like a pattern. How is it that I ended up here again? How am I and why am I going through this again? I was led to Psalm 23 verse 3 through a Bible plan that I was reading on the Bible app. And it reads, "He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake." And it was pointed out that the word paths in Hebrew is pronounced, I believe it's magol. And it means paths made of circles. And after looking it up even more and researching, the word righteous paths, or magol, in the English translation of Psalm 23 verse 3 is actually taken from the Hebrew root agol, which means to be round or a cycle. Some interpretations suggest that the Hebrew phrase doesn't directly translate to paths, like a linear path, but rather within the realm/circle of righteousness. So what God is pointing out here, what the revelation that came from this is that we go through different cycles throughout our lives. The reason why it might feel like history is repeating itself, you go back and say, how did I end up here? Why am I going through a similar situation like this again? It's because history in a way is repeating itself. We are going through different seasons in our life, but it is really a cycle. It could just be a slightly different circumstance. And there's proof of this in Ecclesiastes 3 verse 15. It reads, "That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and God requireth that which is past." Another version of this in the New Living Translation that might be a little clearer to understand is, what is happening now has happened before, and what will happen in the future has happened before, because God makes the same things happen over and over again. What is happening now, meaning this difficult situation that you found yourself in, this season of trials, of being in the wilderness, it has happened before. Whether you've been at the end of yourself, whether it's a similar situation to what you're experiencing now or something completely new, it's happened before. What scripture and what God is saying is that you've reached this turning point, this decision point. So when you think of a circle, a cycle, you have ups and downs, highs and lows. You could be in a season of abundance, of blessing and of favor, or you can be in a season of wilderness and struggle and strife. And it oscillates between those two. And it's really, you're now at a decision point, a turning point. And so you can think back to the last time you were struggling and you felt like God was silent. What did you do? Ask yourself that and answer, what did I do the last time I was in a situation like this? Did I turn away from God? And how did that turn out? Even if you did, how did that go when you relied on your own understanding? Did it make things better, or were you even more lost and confused? Or did you cry out to him? Did you ask him for his grace, for his mercy, for understanding to get you through this tough situation? Did you ask for him to come to help you, to hear you, to save you? And what happened after that? God came through, because he's unchanging. He always does, every single time. Matthew 11 verse 28, "Come to me, those who are weary, who are filled with fear and doubt and uncertainty of what's going to happen. I will give you rest. I will give you a peace beyond your understanding." It happens every time. And I can testify to that every single time. Even when I wasn't as close in a relationship with God, I can see and go back in my lifetime and see I was going through difficult situations and thinking, I legitimately have no idea how I'm going to get through this. I have no idea how I'm going to pay for college. I have no idea how this situation is going to turn out. Any little thing that will cause this fear and doubt of what's to come in the future. And you ask God for his guidance, for his peace, for his grace, and he gives you that rest in the midst of my pleading on my knees, crying, tears everywhere. It's this calm of, you're going to be okay. You are going to be okay. So it's not a question of if God is going to come through, it's when. In this silence you may feel from him, he's very, very quietly asking, what will you do now? Will you come to me with everything that is troubling you so I can give you peace and rest? Or are you going to try and figure it out on your own? He gave us free will to decide whether we choose him or not. And there's a lot of evidence as to what happens when you go either way. This is through scripture and surely through your own personal experiences. There have surely been a time where you felt, you know what, I can do this on my own. I don't need God. I can try and make this work on my own. And it never does. It never does. It can for a time, but there's always going to be trouble. There's always going to be something. And even with your faith and reliance in God, yes, you will experience trouble, but you're going to get through it on the other end because God has the victory. He's said that many times. And right now it might seem impossible and overwhelming, like you can't understand why you're going through this over and over and over again, but God does not want you to give up, because it can get very, very difficult very quickly when you don't choose him. What's happening during this time of struggle is that God is proving to you how strong you can be when you put your faith in him. You were able to survive and to get through the last time because of your resilience, because you chose him. It's difficult to see a way out of it when you're still very much in it. But something I come back to every single time I think about this, or when I'm going through a troubling situation, I think of Psalm 77 verse 11, to think back to the time when God had you in a similar situation. You always have to think back and see when you put your faith in him. That's all it comes down to. That is all it is. When you rely on him, when you trust in him, even when the circumstance, the situation seems legitimately impossible, he finds a way. He makes the impossible possible. You couldn't see a way out when you were going through this last time, and yet God brought you through it. Through his grace and his mercy, he's proven to get you out of the seemingly impossible at least once before. So what makes you think that he won't do it again? Spoiler, he will. He will. So continue to have your faith in him, continue to rely on him in this time, and he will see you through this. I pray that this message gets to whoever it needs to today. Thank you, and may God bless.